Hello YouTube, Reseller Mom here. Welcome to today's video. Today is a big one. I have been trying to piece together a good video for you guys packed full of information about IP violations for Amazon, and I have finally got everything put together as good as it's going to get. I always do these videos and then I feel afterwards for about a week so many things that I could add to it. So breaking it down, I'm going to be doing 3 videos today, and then I will do a follow-up video that will include questions and answers to anything that has come up on these 3 videos. So this will be a total of 4 videos that I will put into some sort of playlist going forward. The reason I have to break this into at least 3 videos is because I have almost 100 slides prepared for you guys with different things going on, the ins and outs of Amazon IP violations. The first chunk here that we're going to talk about, part 1 I'm calling it, is what are they? I want to go through the definition of what the violations are, how to tell if they are real or fake. The second video that I will put out is going to be very lengthy on how to address violations. And while we talk about maybe some other violations in general, I am trying to focus it in on IP, which stands for intellectual property. And then the last video that I pieced together is going to be all on how to prevent them on your account going forward. So since it's going to be a really long ride here, I want to break it down into a couple sections, because maybe you've been selling for a while and you don't really need to know what an IP violation is. Maybe you just need to focus on the other stuff, so that will save you from having to watch or try to piece out the videos when you go back to look at them. It is currently Wednesday, the 7th of April. It's the day after my birthday, so thank you everybody on Instagram that wished me a happy birthday. I really appreciate it. I had a wonderful day. IP violations have been a problem in the Amazon world, and I would say they are the #1 cause of fear in any seller that is thinking about selling on Amazon or dealing with Amazon currently. And there's a lot of things going on with it, hence a 100 slide video going on here today. If I haven't said so already, get a piece of paper. A lot of the stuff I'm going to show you, you're going to want to freeze the frame, jot down some information, or I will direct you to something else to do some further investigation, reading, research, etc. I've got everything in here from lawyers you can contact, to mocked up responses, to what to include in retractions, to books you can go and look at, websites you can go look at, different places you can get help, how to post, how to help. I think I've covered just about everything, but that's why I'll do a 4th video, because I'm sure I'm missing things. It's the nature of the beast. You always find one thing that you can improve on, always. And if you aren't finding anything to improve on, then you're not human, right? Okay, so strap yourselves in. Let's get started. This first part that will be released, I'm going to try and release these things all together, or as quick as can be. Let's get started on what is an IP violation. Let's go over some disclaimers. Reseller Mom, that's me. My name is Lucy. I am not legal advice. I am not always 100% correct and up to date. That's why I give you the dates of my filming in anything that I'm filming, because things change. So today is the 7th of April, 2021. I try to give you guys as much information as I can that is the best information at the time of filming, but Amazon changes daily. Get over it, adjust accordingly. It happens. Every week there's a new email from Amazon on something they are changing and updating and doing. We will go over some of those changes in this video. I do like to note on information that I'm giving you, whether it's old or how it has changed over the years. Also, Amazon, your friends on the internet, Facebook, customers, trolls, well-wishers, other YouTubers are not always 100% correct and up to date either. So as you do your research and learn about IP claims and things out there, just take it all with a grain of salt. Not everybody is got your best interest at heart, and not everybody is 100% correct. And I think that's important. Somebody might give advice that is 6 months old, and it's not 100% correct anymore. You know, there's been some tweaks to the system. So keep that all in the back of your mind. Everything in my videos, I didn't make a bullet point for this, but everything in my videos I have gotten off a Google search. What y'all need to know is I have also paid for lawyer services, I have paid for templates, and I have had friends that have shared or helped me out over the years with different IP claims. I am not sharing any of that with you, as that to me is either private or I have paid for it, and I am never ever going to buy somebody else's templates or coaching information or get advice from a lawyer and then pay for that and share it with you guys. That is not a good thing to do. So everything that I've done for this video you can find with some Google searches as well. I do have a big pile of research and information that I have collected over the years, but since I have paid for a lot of that, it is not really it's not really good of you to give out stuff that you've already paid for. Lastly here, that I wanted to make sure you guys know that if you guys are buying counterfeit stuff and then playing dumb when it comes to Amazon, I don't want to hear your sob story. I am sorry. Do not buy counterfeit stuff, play dumb, and then cry about your Amazon account getting shut down. It's going to happen. Don't do it. It's just stupid, and you want to play on the right side of the law. It will catch up with you, and it's not a sustainable business plan at all. What is an IP claim? An IP claim is when the brand owner contacts Amazon and issues an IP complaint for a specific ASIN. When they do that, they are alleging that the other sellers on the listing are unlawfully using the company's intellectual property. Please keep in mind that if you buy something and sell it and you do not delete the listing, you can still receive an IP claim on something that you don't have inventory anymore on. So if you are not cleaning up your inventory, you need to go through and do that, because you don't want to get stuck trying to fight an IP claim from something that you haven't sold in 2 years and it's just been sitting in your, inactive inventory. There is a difference between suspected IP claims and received IP claims. So that's kind of one of the first things we need to know here. A suspected IP claim can be appealed with receipts from well-known legit sources. That's if it's just suspected. If it's a true received IP claim, then you need to have proof that you have gotten your inventory and you have invoices and other evidence, such as getting the brand owner to retract their claim by contacting them directly. So this is huge. You will see in the Facebook groups and whatnot people talking about, oh yeah, you can just submit your target receipts and get out of IP claims. You might be able to if it's a suspected IP claim. If it's a received IP claim, your receipt from a store may or may not work. That's a lot of times your receipts will not work. I'll tell you right now. Now recently, as far as this week, I have heard rumor, and that's all it is rumor, I just pass my rumors on to you guys, that Ross Marshalls and TJ Maxx, basically receipts that do not have the product's UPC code on the printed out receipt and description, have not been working for suspected IP claims. So see how soon that has changed? I mean, it's 2 weeks ago I would have told you no problems at all with these companies, but now people are having a lot more trouble with submitting those receipts. I haven't gone through it myself, so I couldn't tell you one way or another, but I will pass along any rumors like that to anybody who listens to my channel, and I also like to post on Instagram and Facebook. But right now all I have been told is privately some rumors that those receipts are not working anymore. There are a lot of different categories on your health dashboard of different violations that can happen with your account. For intellectual property claims, there's usually three: copyrights, trademarks, and infringements. Copyrights will be about like words and pictures on the description or product. Trademarks would be the brands, symbols, design. Think of like football stuff, NFL stuff. And then infringements would be your fakes or your knockoffs. So that's the 3 categories that IP claims typically. This is my account health dashboard. Everybody has an account health dashboard. You can get to it from the desktop, or you can look at it on your phone. The desktop is going to have a lot more options to it, but you can keep track of it on the phone too if you're out and about and you want to see something. To get here, you go to Performance, drop down, hit the Account Health, and you'll have this show up. It's broken down into 3 things, as you can see: Customer Service Performance, Policy Compliance, and Shipping Performance. Customer Service Performance, if you get a ding there, it's going to be, on negative feedback or order defect rates. If you don't answer those customer emails quickly enough, they're going to show up over here. Shipping performance is going to have violations if you don't get your shipments, your merchant fulfilled shipments out and tracked soon enough. So you need to make sure that the post is scanning them and they're getting uploaded and being tracked here. You want to stay on top of your shipping if you do merchant fulfill. Today we're going to focus on policy compliance, the middle part, and particularly the suspected and the received intellectual property violation and complaints. All of these violations will need to be addressed or should be addressed in some way. Some you can take action on, some you cannot. Some, if you take action and you just delete the listing, create a removal order, delete the listing, they will fall off within 24 to 48 hours. It's not as instant as I'd like it to be, but I've not had one take really longer than 48 hours to fall off. If it is a particular other type of violation, like this one that I have right here for customer complaints, even though I did some actions on it, it will stay on my account dashboard for 180 days. That does not mean that any of these things fall off after 6 months. They do fall off of your dashboard, but they will remain on your account forever. It's Amazon. Amazon doesn't forget. It remembers everything. And you do not want to have too many dings on your account. So let's talk about health rating here real quick, and we'll blow this up just a bit. Your account health rating up here, take it again with a grain of salt. If you have a brand new account, having 1 or 2 violations can suspend you almost instantaneously, whereas if you've been selling for 5 or 10 years and you sell millions of items a year, you could have quite a few violations stacked up against you before you are at risk for suspension. Nobody knows what that secret sauce formula is, so the best practice I can tell you is take every violation serious, do everything you can to get it off of your account, because you never know when a wave of complaints or things are going to happen, and you don't want to go through any sort of suspension if you can avoid it at all. So I always address every single violation the best I can and try to get it off of my account as quickly as I can. So for today, let's focus on these 2 up here and dive into them. If you were to click on this, I don't remember which one I clicked on here. I clicked on Product Policy Compliance. So one of these 2, you're going to be given this page right here. And under this, right here, it says I have 0 policy violation warnings, which is great. But if I had ones, there would be a reason, a date, what was impacted, and action taken and next steps. Now, this also you need to take with a little bit of grain of salt, because you will get a policy violation email, and sometimes it will not show up on your dashboard for up to 48 hours. I have received a violation and not seen it hit the dashboard for a day or 2. It will get there. Don't worry about it. Amazon will remember to put it on your dashboard. They just, sometimes the system is not up to date and syncing and whatnot. Until that violation gets on your dashboard, you cannot click an appeal button. You could do some investigation. By all means, start putting your paperwork together, but you will not have a button to appeal yet. If you receive a true IP violation, it will eventually show up in your account dashboard. You will have it here and be able to take the next steps. You will also have received an email, but maybe you didn't see that email. I've had emails where it's been filtered out or I don't see it right away. The other place you can look for it is under performance notifications, especially if you're trying to find the original notification and you want to see exactly what it says or whatnot. This is from the dawn of time of my account. I can go back and see all performance notifications. To get there, hit performance under the dashboard and then hit performance notifications. From here, let's see here, I pulled a couple samples. The IP violations are going to look like this: notice, semicolon, policy, warning. And here are two from my own account and what they look like. These, of course, I've blown up a little bit. I just grabbed one off the internet, so it may look like this. The emails look very similar as well. So, the two examples that I have shown you guys is one from Lucetta Beauty and one from Tommy Tippy Cup, and one was a counterfeit, one was a patent. If you break these down, Amazon tells you exactly what you need to do, and that's important. You need to do exactly what Amazon wants you to do. And I see a lot of people trying to do this or trying to do that, and they don't want to do exactly what's outlined in these emails, and therefore they go round and round chasing their tails. So it's going to tell you all sorts of things in this email. The first part here is we have received reports from the right owner that is a counterfeit product. So they're claiming I have counterfeit products. This one over here is infringing on their patent 8028850. We have removed the content listed at the end of this email. You need to contact this brand owner right here. So info@lucettabeauty.com. If the rights owner agrees to retract their complaint, they must send the retraction to notice-dispute@amazon.com. And if you believe that it's not counterfeit, you can email them too. If the rights owner does not retract their complaint or you do not provide supporting information, we may provide your contact information to the rights owner. And they don't like counterfeit allegations. They take it very serious. And if you receive more complaints about your listing, we may not allow you to sell on Amazon. To learn more about this policy, you can search them. They give you the ASIN, the title, infringement type, trademark ID, complaint ID, sincerely. So over here, you can read this. I'm not going to read this one verbatim too. These two complaints were kind of my last two. And this one I received last summer. It took me almost 6 months to resolve, and I'll go through the history of that in a minute. This one right here only took about a week to resolve, and both were very different. One question that I've seen a few times is, if I don't plan on selling this stuff anymore, can I just delete the listing, let it drop off in 6 months, and then move on with my life? You can do anything you want with your account. That being said, I would not recommend doing that. Amazon is going to look at your account and they want to see that if you have a violation, you take steps to resolve that violation. If they look at your account and they see that you do not take steps to resolve violations, these violations will start stacking up against you, and it will not be good. You will eventually be suspended. I don't know what that suspension threshold is. It's different for your sale volume and time you're in business and the types of violations you get. But it's best to answer them and do what they say. If they look at your account and they see that you've actively tried to work with brands and get these violations removed, that's going to go way more in your favor than if you ignore things. So I've shared with you this. These two were for me. This one I just found on the internet. I also want to talk about private labels and branded items really quick, because they are becoming more and more predominant on Amazon. And what people are doing is taking a common wholesale item like these little cat ears, and then they are branding it, putting a little party planning checklist by it. And this is Mike. So Mike's given you 8 cat ears plus a party planning checklist. And that way, if anybody jumps on his listing, he can issue an IP claim for it. A lot of times these brand owners will email you first. So if they've emailed you and you double check and you're like, oh yeah, I listed that, I didn't remember, I didn't see that little party planning checklist added in on there, work with the brand owner and get off of them as quickly as you can. So I just wanted to bring that up because I'm seeing this a lot more, and it's easy when you're out scanning to maybe miss some of these little things that make it a custom labeled type of item. I blew this up here. Mike goes somewhere and gets printed everything you need to know to throw the best party. I see these types of things a lot in grocery items, party items, etc., that make them special enough to be their own brand. Okay, so what do you do if you have received an IP claim? A real one, a fake one. The first thing you need to do is just remain calm. Take a few deep breaths. They can be very, they cause me a lot of anxiety. You need to read exactly what is written in that letter to you from Amazon, and then start gathering up all your information and making a plan. What are you going to do if they don't retract a complaint? What are you going to do if they do retract a complaint? Do you need to contact anybody? Do you need to get a receipt printed? Do you need to annotate? Get your plan put together. The last thing you want to do is do some sort of knee-jerk response off to Amazon, appeal, and do something silly, because you really can only appeal so many times. Some people say infinite, some people say only a few times you can appeal. I've never gotten to the point where my appeals have I've not been allowed to appeal anymore, but I've seen other people who eventually Amazon says, please don't contact us anymore. We're not going to talk to you anymore. And you don't want to get into a non-talking level. Is it impossible at that level? No, but it's when you get to the point where Amazon's not talking to you anymore, then you need to get a lawyer, and it's going to be an expensive thing to fix. So get your plan put together, and if you are in the right, meaning you have correct receipts, you have everything they're asking, continue to fight and appeal until you win. It may take some resubmitting. It may take having to redo your appeal. This last one with Lucetta, I redid my plan of action probably 8 times, and it turned out that it needed a retraction, and the retraction that they were emailing wasn't working, and they finally did it through the dashboard, and it worked. I'm going to get into that in the next video, some more into different plans of actions and retractions, etc. But if you receive an IP claim, keep calm, and we'll gather things up, make a plan, and fight until you win here. So, next, what do IP claims, what do they not look like? Because I get more fake IP claims than real claims, for sure. 10 to 1, hands down. This is probably the most predominant way that I see fake things come through to try and get me off a listing, and it's through the message center on Amazon. And what other sellers, other people, I don't know who, but people that are not the brand owner want me to get off their listing, and they will email people on the listing, and they will email them something like this with an attachment. This one says it's a return policy inquiry from customer Dan Koenig, and it's from House of Cheatham, photo letter, please read. Sometimes these will spell out, you are in violation, something or another, get off our listing, etc. If you click on this attachment, it brings up a pretty official looking letter. And this can be very intimidating. You can be like, oh my gosh, I got an IP complaint. It came through the message center. These are not real IP complaints. These are just others warning you or trying to get you off of their listing. And that's what you need to kind of take a look at. If this was Mike's party supply and Mike messaged me and said, hey, Reseller Mom, you're on my private label listing. This is my private label item. Could you please get off of it? And then I went and I looked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is right. Mike really has a private label listing, and I jumped on by mistake. I would email back, sorry Mike, I totally didn't see that. I've recalled my products. Thank you for letting me know, and move on with your day. This one is a little different. It says return policy inquiry from Amazon Dan Koenig. You can research Dan and see what he's all about. You can research House of Cheatham. You can also research this letter right here. And things like emailing messages at g2llc.com does not even look remotely legit at all. This letter in general does not look really legit at all. And I am not inclined to respond to them at all. Let's see here. So, for this example, if I've gone through and I've said, okay, well, you know, this doesn't really look legit. It doesn't look like a legit email. I've Googled this email. I've Googled Dan. It's from the, quote, brand enforcement team. You'll see that a lot, the brand enforcement team. Once I've done a little bit of research on it, I'm going to report the message and mark no response needed. You need to make sure you hit that no response needed so that your customer service under your account health gets, doesn't get in trouble. Because if you don't hit no response needed and it goes 2 or 3 days, then it looks like you're not responding to customers, and you'll get a ding on your customer service dashboard, and you don't want that either. Okay, so I'm not going to respond to Dan and the House of Cheatham, which sounds like a terrible name. I don't even think that was a legit company when I researched it. But for those, report, no response needed. Pulled up a redacted Vora's statement for y'all. I have now received several Vora's ones. The most recent one, I actually am having my lawyer jump in at this point because they have now FedExed overnight 2 of them, and I legitly have a wholesaler for the items they are talking about and want to continue selling them, and I need to get them off my backs. So when you get a Vora's, whether you address it or you don't address it, they say you're not a reseller for real until you actually receive one of these. So this is another common one. If they ever have you sign for something, then that's a little bit, if they've paid for a signature, that tells you it's a little bit more important. A lot of this is just like the other message that came through, but Vora's is one that will send out and will FedEx overnight to your house. I stick them in my file drawer. I pretty much 9 times out of 10 I'll ignore them, but this last one, because it's a wholesale company that I'm working with, I want to get them off my back so that I can continue to sell. If it's a one-off product, a lot of times I just sell through, like my TJ Maxx stuff or whatnot. I'll sell through and then just delete the listing. Problem solved. I'm not going to talk to them anymore. They got what they wanted. I got what I wanted. It's time to move on. How do you tell if your threat is real or not? This can be really tricky. So, any real IP violation that comes through will have an email from Amazon. It will be in your policy notifications, and it will eventually show up on your account health dashboard. Those are real threats that you definitely need to address. If it comes through the messages, like I showed you there with Dan emailing me as a customer, that is a bit tricky. And they could also, I've had people email me just on my email address. I have had letters show up in the mail. They can email you on different email addresses. I have, like 5 email addresses, and I've received these types of warnings on a different email that wasn't even associated with my Amazon account. So, how do you tell if it's real? Look for spelling errors and grammar errors. That can give it away right there. Research any of the information they give you, such as an email address, a name. You can look at LinkedIn to see if the person that is emailing you really does work for the company that they say they are emailing from. You can call the company and say, hey, I received an email from this person about this or that. Is that really, legit? If the listing is a private label bundle, make sure you look at those threats and see if it really is a private label bundle that you shouldn't be on. What are they asking you to do? So that's a good one to tell as well. If they just want to get off the listing, it may just seem really threatening that they want you to get off the listing. Sometimes they will ask for your supplier information. Just email the supplier information here. And unfortunately, you know, there's bad people out in the world, and these are people that build their wholesale business by finding out who your wholesaler is. I could go to a bunch of different listings and just email them and say, give me your wholesale information, and market it more as an IP angle that you might get scared about. So don't fall for that one as well. You can reach out to a friend or a Facebook community. This is why it's so important to build your network. So when you do get some of those threats, you can say, hey, look at this. Am I seeing this right? Does this look real or not? And get another opinion on it. So assess your threat, make a plan, and then move on. If it's not a real threat, you're going to want to report that message to the powers that be, and you're going to want to mark it as no response needed if it comes through Amazon. If it's just through email, you may want to block that email or whatnot and get off the radar of whoever's trying to mess with you. Thank you guys for joining me today on what an IP claim is. If you've learned anything from this video, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. Stay tuned for the next video. We're going to go diving in as to how to address an IP complaint, a real one, not the fake ones. And I'm going to go through a lot of plan of actions, gathering the information, retraction details, etc. So stay tuned for that one. And take care. Have a great